Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a hot topic that's been circulating online. Did France loot gold from African countries to build its massive gold reserves? France holds the fourth largest gold reserves in the world, 2,436 tons, but doesn't have active gold mines on its soil. Meanwhile, countries like Mali, with hundreds of gold mines, have little to no reserves. Let's break it down. How did France get all that gold, and is there evidence of exploitation? Stick around and let's get into it. Setting the stage, France's gold reserves. First, let's look at the numbers. As of 2023, France's central bank, the Banque de France, holds 2,436 tons of gold, worth billions of dollars. That's a massive stockpile for a country with no active gold mines. Compare that to Mali, a former French colony and one of Africa's top gold producers, with 860 gold mines and 50 tons produced annually, yet zero gold in its central bank reserves. This contrast has fueled claims on platforms like X that France's gold wealth comes from looting its former African colonies. But is it true? To answer, we need to look at history and economics. Historical context: colonialism and the CFA franc. France colonized much of West and Central Africa from the 19th century until the 1960s. During this period, colonial powers often extracted resources like gold, ivory, and timber to fuel their economies. However, there's no direct evidence like shipping records or official documents showing France systematically transported large quantities of gold from African colonies to build its reserves. Most of France's gold accumulation actually happened later, during the 20th century, tied to global financial systems like the Bretton Woods Agreement. Under Bretton Woods, from 1944 to 1971, the US dollar was pegged to gold, and countries like France could exchange dollars for gold. In the 1960s, under President Charles de Gaulle, France converted $300 million into 267 tons of gold and repatriated 3,313 tons from the US and UK. This wasn't African gold, it was from international reserves. But here's where it gets murky. France's control over the CFA franc, a currency used by 14 African countries, including Mali and Burkina Faso, until reforms in 2019. These countries had to deposit 50% of their foreign currency reserves with the French treasury, earning low interest. Critics call this a colonial tax, arguing it limited African nations' ability to build their own reserves, including gold. So, while France wasn't directly shipping gold bars from Africa, the system may have indirectly prevented African countries from keeping their wealth. Gold smuggling and modern exploitation. Fast forward to today, Africa produces a lot of gold. Ghana, Mali, and Burkina Faso are among the top producers. A 2019 Reuters report found that billions in gold, 446 tons, in 2016 alone, is smuggled out of Africa, often through the UAE, with little tax paid to African governments. While this doesn't directly implicate France, some argue that colonial-era policies set the stage for weak governance and corruption, making smuggling easier. In Mali and Burkina Faso, most gold mines are owned by multinational companies, not French ones. Only about 10% of gold revenue stays in these countries, with the rest going to foreign firms. So, the wealth from Africa's gold often doesn't stay in Africa, but it's not all ending up in France's vaults either. Debunking myths and facing reality. So, how much gold did France take? There's no concrete number tying France's 2,436 tons directly to African looting. France's reserves grew through international trade, currency conversions, and historical financial systems, not just colonial theft. That said, France's colonial legacy and the CFA franc system have undeniably restricted African economic sovereignty, making it harder for countries to retain their gold wealth. It's less about France physically taking gold and more about systems that favored French economic dominance. Colonial exploitation. France undoubtedly profited from African resources, including gold, during the colonial era. The lack of specific records makes it difficult to quantify how much gold directly contributed to its reserves, but the broader colonial system forced labor, monopolies, and resource extraction likely played a role in accumulating wealth that supported France's financial stability. Mali and Burkina Faso's actions against French mining companies. Both Mali and Burkina Faso, along with Niger, have undergone military coups since 2020, leading to a regional shift away from Western influence, particularly France, their former colonial power. These countries, part of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, have pursued resource nationalism to gain greater control over their mineral wealth, including gold and uranium, which has directly affected French mining operations. Mali. Nationalization and seizures. Mali has not outright sacked French mining companies, but it has taken assertive actions to renegotiate terms and increase state control. In October 2024, Mali nationalized the Atela gold mine, previously co-owned by AngloGold Ashanti, South Africa, and EM Gold, Canada, transferring it to the state-owned Mali Mineral Resources Research and Development Corporation. Pressure on Western firms. While the Atela mine did not directly involve French companies, Mali's 2023 Mining Code revision increased state ownership in mining projects to a minimum of 10% with an option for an additional 20%. This has put pressure on all foreign firms, including French ones, to renegotiate contracts. Context of anti-French sentiment. Mali's junta expelled French troops in 2022 after the end of Operation Barkhane, a French-led anti-insurgency mission, and has accused France of exploiting its resources. Social media posts on X reflect this sentiment, with some claiming Mali is taking back its resources from French firms, though these are not conclusive evidence. French companies' status. French companies like Orano, formerly Areva, have not been directly expelled from Mali, but they face a challenging environment. For example, Orano operates in neighboring Niger, where its uranium mining licenses were revoked, signaling a broader regional trend that could affect Mali. Burkina Faso. Nationalization of mines? Burkina Faso has more directly targeted foreign-owned mines, though not specifically French ones. In August 2024, the government nationalized the Bungo and Wagnian gold mines, previously owned by London-based Endeavour Mining, for $80 million through the state-owned Société de Participation Minière du Burkina, SOPAMIB. These mines were acquired from Lilium Mining, which had bought them from Endeavour in 2023. No French mining interests directly affected. Importantly, France has no significant mining interests in Burkina Faso. Claims on social media about French companies being sacked stem from misinformation, such as a 2022 video falsely alleging French officials destroyed vehicles at the Percoa zinc mine. In reality, the mine was operated by a Canadian company, Trevali Mining, and its subcontractor Bernacat Australian, and the vehicles were scrapped due to flood damage, not French sabotage. Broader anti-French policy. Burkina Faso's junta, led by Ibrahim Traoré, expelled French troops in February 2023 and has pivoted toward Russia for security and economic ties. The 2023 Mining Code revision prioritizes national control and local suppliers, aiming to reduce foreign dominance. While this affects all Western companies, for example, Canada's EM Gold, Australia's West African Resources, it aligns with the anti-French rhetoric in the region. Conclusion. While France's colonial history and post-colonial economic policies, for example, CFA franc, facilitated wealth extraction from African countries, there is no precise figure for how much gold was taken to build its reserves. Colonial-era extraction likely contributed to France's wealth, but specific tonnages are not documented in available sources. In the post-colonial period, the CFA system and French companies' involvement in African mining may have indirectly supported France's economic position, but direct transfers of gold to reserves are not substantiated. Modern gold smuggling and multinational mining further complicate the picture, with much of Africa's gold bypassing state control altogether. For a definitive answer, further historical research into colonial archives or Banque de France records would be needed, but such data is not publicly available.